often referred to as VDT training, video display terminal training. This is required training under Maine law. Maine law says anybody who spends 4 or more hours on a day needs to have in-person training once a year. So this is an annual training requirement, and I just looked back at when I was updating the log for today. I actually did this March 14th last year. March. Pretty darn close. The 4 hours is continuous work. I think that was a grain of salt. Nobody really sits for 4 hours and doesn't move. So if a person spends 4 hours or more on a computer terminal, they really should have this training, and it's really for a very good purpose. The whole idea of this training is to educate employees about musculoskeletal disorders and have them take an active role in preventing those disorders or those injuries. We know that they can be very painful. They can cause lots of time from work, medical bills, and that's certainly not what we want for our employees. So we want to do everything to prevent musculoskeletal. Last year when I did this training, I used an HR VLR program that had PowerPoint with an audio, and I stopped it occasionally to talk about a few things. Today I'm using a State of Maine video display terminal training just to give it a little bit of variety. We're going to do this every year. You're going to get tired of using the same training program. So I'll at least alternate between those two, and maybe I'll even come up with something totally different here eventually. So we're going to just basically step through these slides. Then we'll spend a little bit of time doing the exercises. Most of you remember doing exercises last year. That's one of the best ways to prevent musculoskeletal disorders is to pay attention to what your body is doing during the day and do the stretching. How many people are doing any kind of stretching during the day?
Me.
No. Purposeful stretching. Okay, we've got about 3 hands up in the room, and I don't know how many we have on the phone. But when we do the stretches later, I think you'll agree with me, it feels really good to do it. We sometimes don't think about it. We don't sometimes take the time. We don't think we have the time. But it's one of the best things you can do to help prevent injury on the job. What is ergonomics? Well, ergonomics on this screen basically says it's the science and the practice of designing jobs and workplaces and capabilities and limitations of the human body. So this only came into effect in the quote-unquote computer age, when now all of a sudden we have employees sitting for long periods of time, staring at a computer terminal, and putting their body in positions sometimes that's not natural for the human body. In the past, there were certainly repetitive motion injuries on the job, especially in manufacturing, where employees are doing the same kind of repetitive tasks over and over again. This is in the computer age, this is kind of the newest thing that has come along that does cause injury in the workplace, and we need to pay attention and try to prevent what we can. And ergonomics means fitting the job to the worker. So we're trying to find a way to make the work and the workspace be comfortable for the employee and their body so that we minimize the chances. The benefits of ergonomics, obviously, and the education around that is to help prevent injuries. It also has other benefits, such as improved quality of work. If a person is comfortable doing their job, they're not in pain, they're not their body in some kind of contortion, then the quality of work is going to be better, quality of life is going to be better, and reduce fatigue as it's comfortable. Education on injury prevention is an important part of safety and health. There are thousands of injuries known as musculoskeletal disorders or work-related musculoskeletal disorders in Maine each year. This is not an uncommon problem. Other terms for musculoskeletal disorders include cumulative trauma disorders, that's the whole repetitive strain injuries, and overuse injuries. Musculoskeletal disorders usually occur gradually. So sometimes that's another thing that we need to make employees aware of is the gradual, something coming on gradually. So I might have shared with you last year when I went to work in a new work location for one of the banks I was working for. My desk was like a bit of, people on the phone can't see, my desk was, facing, the middle of the room, but my computer terminal was off to the side. So, and the keyboard was in front of me. It had an articulating keyboard, so the keyboard was straight with the desk. The terminal was over here. And I did not realize until I could barely move my neck that that was not a good setup. Because it happens gradually. You don't think about what you're putting your body through, and then, okay, my neck hurts. Why does my neck hurt? You don't always do the whole cause and effect thing. So they usually do appear gradually. Sometimes they can appear suddenly. And they can be serious if not taken care of early. So a big part of this training is early detection and early treatment. What are some of the symptoms? Well, we can have discomfort, that's on the low end, or pain on the high end. It also could be a dull ache. You could experience decreased range of motion or tightness. You could have numbness or tingling in your shoulder, neck. Your skin could actually change color. You have swelling of the joint or limb and decreased grip strength is also another possible symptom. What causes these musculoskeletal disorders? Definitely repetitive motion. So if you're working on a report or data entry or something where you're doing something over and over again, one of the things that I do over and over again on my computer is I do a lot of surveys through SurveyMonkey. And when you download from SurveyMonkey into Excel, it's not a pretty elegant solution. So you have to do a lot of reformatting. That's the same thing over and over and over again. So I try to remember, take a break from that. You know, you want to get it done, right? So you're just going at it for hour after hour. And anything repetitive that you're doing over and over again, the same muscles, same position, same body position, is going to potentially create a bigger problem. Forceful exertion, not sure what that would be here in the workplace, but awkward postures, mechanical pressure, cold temperatures, stress, definitely a factor. Nutritional deficiencies, poor lighting, prolonged standing in one place, sitting, especially if you're sitting with poor posture, and working with your neck some way. Your neck and your head should be straight over your shoulders. So if you're leaning forward every time, or leaning back, or your neck's not in a natural position, that can cause some problems. There are some factors that can exacerbate or make you more prone to musculoskeletal disorders. First one is age, and that's a factor. Your overall health, heredity can play a role. Posture certainly plays a role. Even diet and activities, other activities you're doing in your life can play a role. And how susceptible you are to a musculoskeletal injury. Duration of exposure, how long, is a factor. Usually there's hours of exposure before risk factors become a concern. So usually, again, it's over a period of time that these tend to manifest themselves. The frequency of the exposure, the intensity of the exposure, and then a combination of the three things above. So some solutions. Okay, so static postures would include things like foot rests, shifting your weight. A well-designed, adjustable, supported seat is very important. So if you start to experience a problem, it's then you're into the diagnostic stage. Okay, why am I experiencing discomfort? What is it about my workstation that I can try to improve? Work surfaces at appropriate heights. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Change positions frequently. So, try to get off of the autopilot where you're just stuck at your desk and I got to get this report done. I can't get up and move. Just get up and move, because by the time you sit down again, you won't be in exactly the same position as you might have been for hours previous to that. And routine stretch breaks. So these aren't 15-minute coffee breaks routinely throughout the day. These are stretch breaks. You can sit in your chair, or you can stand up by your chair, and you can do these stretch breaks. I have clients that have built in stretch breaks to their routine in their organization. They feel that strongly about it. I have one manufacturer. They start every morning with a morning meeting, and while they're going over things, people are stretching. There's somebody leading the group, and they're doing their stretches. And that's the office workers as well as the other workers, too. I have one organization that I've been working with, and I'll take with this, it's with CAP. And I was doing a training like this. It wasn't on ergonomics. It would have been more appropriate if it had been. But I was doing a training like this, and over the loudspeaker came, ding, ding, 3 o'clock, it's time for you to stretch. So I got them all up, and we did our stretches. So, that's a great to have a reminder, something that because we get caught up in what we're doing. Yes, we do. Neutral posture. So this is where your head needs to be centered over your shoulders. And you can see all the right angles in that person sitting in that chair. There's a 90-degree angle for the arms. There's a 90-degree angle for the legs. And there's a 90-degree angle for the torso. So those are all really important that when you're sitting in your chair comfortably, have these 90-degree angles going in your favor. That's the natural posture, neutral posture. The chair, very important, the chair. The more adjustable your chair is, the better. I'm not saying we can go out necessarily and buy all new chairs, but the more adjustable your chair is, the more often you have to make it right for your body, because we're all different in terms of what you need. It needs to be the right size. It should have lumbar support, be the proper height, armrests, removable if possible, and adjustable while sitting or seated. So those are all the things. Elbows should be your size, shoulders should be relaxed, head should be level, wrist should be straight. And if you need, depending upon your height and the height of your chair and how adjustable your chair is, your feet should rest comfortably on the floor. If you need to have a little platform in order to have your feet be comfortable. And I would say also, try to keep the area for your feet clear. A lot of people stuff stuff under their desk, like shoes, extra shoes, ladies, maybe. Extra pair of shoes under your desk, no, boots, anything like that. Try to keep the area for your feet clear so that you can have your feet in a comfortable position. Monitor. Monitor should be directly in front of you, not off to the side like it was in my bank job, and I realized after a month or two this is not a good place for that to be. The top of the screen should be eye level, and they say if you're in your chair comfortably and look straight at your monitor, your eyes should be focused 2 to 3 inches below the top of the computer itself, 2 to 3 inches below. And also when you're sitting comfortably in your chair, you should be able to reach your arm out, stretch your arm out, wiggle your fingers, and your fingers should be right about at the screen. So if it's way farther than that, that's probably a problem, and if it's way closer than that, that's probably a problem. So sit in your chair, reach out, see where it is. And if it's not in the right place, now, the whole idea is for you to be comfortable. So if it's 3 more feet and you like it that way, far be it for me to tell you to move it. But most people are going to find it most comfortable to have it be just about out at the fingertip. Coffee stand should be facing keyboard, and you can adjust the brightness and contrast to make it comfortable for you as well. You can put the monitor up. So again, if you're looking forward and the thing is below you or too high, try to see if we can make an adjustment of some kind. More often, I see that it's too low than it's too high. So you can do it pretty inexpensively with a cardboard box or something to get it up a little bit higher if it needs to be higher. The keyboard. Try to spread keyboard work out throughout the day. Again, just be cognizant of how long you're spending doing the same thing. And you likely have other tasks to do. Try to spread them in. Try to plan your work in your day so that you're not just sitting in front of the computer terminal for more time than you really need to. Break it up a little bit. Use macros for common functions. That can cut down the repetitive motion. Take stretch pauses and improve your posture and move around as much as possible. What's the macro? Macros are, somebody else can explain that better than me, but macros are functions that you could, like with Excel, you can do macros with Excel, where you, with fewer keystrokes, you can accomplish the work that you're trying to do. That's what I understand. Program a button or something to do something for you. Right. There's a lot of, I have a virtual assistant. When I get in trouble with an Excel spreadsheet, I can email to her and say, hey, fix it. And she did a list of shortcuts for me, keyboard shortcuts. And if you get used to doing them, that could actually help your body tension as you're doing your work. because it's a different motion and it's quicker. But a lot of us didn't learn that. Didn't learn to use the keyboard that way. So it's learning something a little bit different. So, I can go to File, Print, or I can do Control P, right? Okay. So, you didn't know that? So, I should give you my little cheat sheet.
Oh, yeah. If you have cheat sheets, that's great.
Yeah. That's just a different way to, even if it cuts down one stroke or one step, but you're doing it repetitively, you can make a difference. Here's some wrists that are not good. You want your wrists basically to be level, and you want them to be on a wrist rest if possible. Wrist rests, though, are not for when you're typing. The idea is not to have a wrist rest and be resting and typing, because that's going to end up with kind of the one on the right here, potentially where you're resting on the wrist rest and you're typing. Wrist rests are for resting when you're not typing. A lot of people don't know that. Oh. You're supposed to have your wrist up when you're typing and then use the wrist rest when you're not, as opposed to resting on the wrist rest and then trying to type. Again, it's what's comfortable for you. So if it's comfortable for you to do it differently, then you can certainly do that. But that's the idea of the wrist rest. This is the good wrist posture. It almost looks like they're on that, but you can't quite tell. Support is important. There's all kinds of things to go staples up there now for resting your wrist or making your wrist more comfortable. There's all kinds of things out there now to make it, and this is all, this is business now because of all the carpal tunnel and repetitive motion injuries and all that stuff that's going on. So it's important. The mouse, I'm assuming that the one on the left is the proper one. The one on the right would be you'd be reaching, right? It's going to be a strain on your shoulder and your arm to be reaching up. If the keyboard's in the right place, the mouse isn't in the right place. If the mouse is in the right place, the keyboard's not in the right place. And this is not what we want. Oh, dear. People need to be turning around and looking at certain people.
Yeah. What's wrong with that picture? I think the picture, there was something about Einstein's death. Like that. Thank you.
You're very smart. You're a smart man that didn't keep his workplace organized.
Creative minds are messy.
I'm a really huge proponent of keeping your workspace somewhat organized. For many reasons. One is I think if you have a workspace that looks like that, even though you might be able to deal with it, it tends to make you feel more than you actually are. Overloaded, overwhelmed, confused, whatever it might be. There's no space on which to work. There's no place to put work that you're working on. There's just nothing there. So I'm a pretty big proponent of when you get to that situation, taking them out in the day.
Not to mention if you share an office with somebody.
Not naming names. The upside of that, if my office starts to look like that, I get distracted very easily.
Right.
So I'm moving from one thing to another. Right. And I'm not sitting in one place to the same thing. But I do. I tend to jump from
outside organization, pressure you want that to have to do in your work. Are you really on top of your work, or are you really not on top of your work? So I'm a pretty big proponent of organization. It has something to do with ergonomics, because it's hard to do your work ergonomically correctly in that sort of space. Okay, we're going to do stretches in a couple minutes, but just to talk about this slide, stretches relieve static posture. They keep the fluid circulating and prevent toxins from building up in your tissues. So there's many really positive health effects just in general with stretching. If you start your day with stretching, very good. But for this purpose, for musculoskeletal disorder prevention, stretching is very important. There's more and more options now for people who maybe have a lower back issue. There's stand-up workstations. I know we have at least two around here. I have one client where the IT person actually sits on a huge round ball. Anybody doing that?
Good breakfast, though.
Close towards your core. Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm not sure I can do that.
I think I got more.
So, you know, working with what you have, try to make it comfortable for you based on your body and you have is very important. Stress is obviously a factor, and it was listed earlier as a contributing factor to mental disorders. Talking about stress with somebody earlier, you know, it's kind of interesting. We talk about stress like it exists in the world. You know, like, oops, there goes stress down the hallway. I did that once in a client location. I said, you know, like, we talk about like it's going down the hallway, and the HR director was going down the hallway. But where does stress exist?
In our shoulders.
Yeah. We all hold our stress in a certain place, right? Some in the neck, some in the shoulders. Used to be people experience stress with, you know, stomach ulcers. But you don't hear about stomach ulcers almost never. And I think it's because you can take Tums or Mylene or something.
I was thinking that.
And that goes away. So now it's lower back, it's the tension in your neck and your shoulders. But, you know, to the extent that we have control over how we experience life, we can't prevent the things that are going to happen to us in life, but we can definitely control how we react to that or respond to that. So this is one factor in how we protect ourselves from musculoskeletal disorders. And I just encourage you to take control and don't manufacture any more stress. What can you do? Recognize and report symptoms. So again, we want to catch any symptoms early. Change the workstation around if we need to, get us a new chair if we have to, get medical treatment if we have to. Much better to recognize something early. And if you ever are walking around, maybe this isn't you, but maybe you notice somebody, you know, cradling an elbow, and you're talking to them and they're going like this, you know, say, okay, what's up with that elbow? Just be aware. Put your antenna up and be aware. Because things start to happen gradually and we don't necessarily do the cold cause effect. I get involved in ergonomics, so just learn more about it, and form an ergonomic risk assessment. So between Stephanie, Tom, and I, we can help you look at your workstation. So if you feel either uncomfortable or you just want to make sure you're set up correctly, you know, have us come by. We'll just look at, you know, we'll have you sit down like you're working at your station, and we'll just see where your monitor is, see where your mouse, your keyboard is, see what your feet are doing, and just do a little risk assessment. I actually have a form to go through. So this is something that if you say, well, I want to make sure that I'm doing whatever I can to be the risk assessment includes identifying hazards, assessing risk, and controlling the risk. If you do have symptoms, it's very important to report them. If the pain is persistent, severe, or worsening, if the pain radiates, the symptoms include numbness or tingling. So numbness and tingling are not the first symptoms. That's down the road a little bit. So if you get to that point, that's definitely time to check it out. And if symptoms keep you from sleeping at night, that would be another reason to bring something up.
Lori,
report to probably Stephanie or me. Stephanie probably we could start with, and we would definitely do the risk assessment so we can, you know, adjust things a little bit. But if you're at the point where you need to see a doctor, then report it to HR and go to the doctor. So, chronic symptoms can lead to disabling injuries, even surgery. I had one situation in the bank years ago where the person started with carpal tunnel, and she had elbow surgery, and she had shoulder surgery. I mean, this can definitely progress. Early treatment is more successful. And even when the workstation design and the environmental factors are at their best, a worker can suffer discomfort and injuries from factors related to the work process. So think about how you're going about doing your job as well. Okay, I have one more slide, but before I do that, we're going to do some stretches. So I'm going to try to describe what I'm doing to the people on the phone so they can follow along without seeing me. So if you think I'm giving more detail than I need, you'll know why I'm doing that. So let's all stand up. And let's do the things with our wrists first. So everybody put your arms out straight ahead of you, straight out as far as you can. Okay? What you want to do is flex your wrists by flexing your fingers up and down. So back as far as you can go, and then down as far as you can go. Do it so you feel a nice stretch. Now, nobody get hurt doing my exercises, okay? That would be not good. Back up. Feel a little bit of a pull and stretch, and then back down. And if you like even a bigger stretch, you can pull your fingers back a little bit. And do the other hand, pull your fingers. Use one hand to pull your other fingers back.
It hurts.
It hurts a little bit, yeah.
A little careful down.
Anybody hear cracking? You can even do them down a little bit. So you can pull your wrist down a little bit and get a bigger stretch. Going down as well. Okay, so that's the wrist exercises. Let's see. Let's do the shoulder exercises. So there's a couple ones here that you want to do. We're going to shrug our shoulders up for our ears and then roll forward. So up, roll forward. Up, roll forward. Okay. Now let's do the reverse of that, which is shrug up and roll backwards. So shrug up to your shoulders to your ears, and then roll your shoulders backwards. Right. Up, and then back, roll back. Now, these are really easy to do, and you can do in 3 minutes or even 2 minutes. You can get up from your desk and do these. I promise you will have practice if you take the time to do this. Well, we're probably not going to have some velvet rings that's going to make you do it. It's going to have to be in your own volition that you decide, I'm just going to do this, it's going to be good for me. Okay, let's do 3 things with our head. Okay, first we're just going to turn side to side, like you're looking at somebody over here. So we're going to keep our heads over our shoulders and just turn to the left as far as you can turn so you can still stretch. And then turn to the right as far as you can. Keep your shoulders steady.
My other right? I think you should try to forward starboard here, Mike. That's better.
Starboard. Go left again, as far as you can. Feel stretch.
Rudder.
Okay, then we're going to do the nod, which is both chin to chest and then back. So we're going to do chin to chest first. First, you're going to feel that stretch in the back of your neck. And then look up to the ceiling and put your head back as far as you can so you feel stretch. Then go A-E-I-O-U. That stretches the cell right here. A-E-I-O-U. Okay, back down, chin to chest. And back up again. Okay, so that's those 2 of the 3 things you can do with your head. The third thing is the tilt. Now we're going to try to put our ear on our shoulder. First left, just tilt down as far as you can. Keep your shoulders steady. You're not going to be able to get your ear down there, I don't think, but that's not the point. It's just to stretch. And then the other way, this is tilt. Feel something different stretching that time? A little cracking going on. And then tilt. And then tilt back again. All right. My arms over your head. Stretch up as far as you can. Stretch, 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 stretch. Okay, now down. You don't hit anybody. Back up again.
And then stretch.
Okay. Okay, hands on your hips. And then back, gently, no injuries. Back, still stretching your lower back. Okay, fingers, back to your fingers again. Let's do that one. Okay, so this is like punch your fingers together in a fist. And then stretch them out. This is really good for when you're keyboarding a lot. Then put your in a fist again, and then stretch them out as far as you can. Do with your fingers. And then have a seat. And then just, you don't have a skirt on if you're be careful. And just pull your, as best you can, pull your leg up to your chest. Stretch that leg up. Just your lower back a little bit of break too. How limber we are. All right, let's see if I got them all. The only other thing about this is your eyes. You don't really stretch your eyes. You fix your eyes or rest break. All you really need to do is, again, if you're focused on the computer for a long period of time, just look across the room, focus on something else. You know, close your eyes and open them a couple times, and then look back at your computer terminal. You can get eye strain really easy if you're not paying attention to what your body is doing. So it's just look across the room, focus on something, look back. Blink a few times, and just make sure you're not going to get eye strain. Okay, let's get all the ones. Okay, so last slide. 5 key points to remember. Ergonomics can help you on your job and at home. Musculoskeletal disorders can happen in jobs with risk factors. Risk factors can be reduced, and injuries can be prevented. Reporting symptoms early is important, so just paying attention to what your body is doing. And you can help by following good ergonomic practices. The 3 most important things you can do, remember from this training, are make sure your workstation is set up to maximize your comfort. Might not be able to solve every single issue. We can work to make your station as comfortable as possible. Second is to do the stretching. Just make a commitment that you're going to do it. It feels good, doesn't it? Take the time to do it. So you just have to, you put a timer in your computer for yourself, or get an agreement with a coworker. Twice a day you're going to stand up and stretch. Something that's going to remind you. How many days does it take to make a new habit?
30.
21 days to make a new habit. So you have to, if you're going to get in the routine, you've got to keep the routine going for 21 days, and then you won't have to think about it quite so much. And the third thing is just be aware of what your body is doing. I'm sure the last time I did this training, I gave you an example of just finding myself at my computer with my legs wrapped around each other like pretzels. I'm like, what the heck am I doing? It's because we work with our brain, pretty much, unless you're unloading a truck. You're working with your brain, and your body is getting dragged along. You're not really paying attention most of the time what your body's doing. Your brain is sort of in control. And just be aware of what's happening with your body. If your legs are twisted, if your legs aren't on the floor, if you're not sitting up straight, if you're leaning forward, any of those things over time are going to cause potential problems. Any questions?
Can we get a copy of this exercise?
That's what I was going to ask.
I saw your question.
You actually can, and I forgot my ergonomics folder today. I actually have a one-page in there, which I can do. This is actually part of a 6 or 7 page thing that's a really good reminder, so I'll leave this with Stephanie. Anybody that wants a copy, just see Stephanie and she can take a copy.
Did you hear in the news last night that some organizations have a nap room? A nap room?
That's
where we have a nice comfy place and we get 20 minutes to go nap.
You're getting a nap day next time.
That would be really nice. In some cultures,
I was going to say, a lot of countries do just that.
Can we take a vote on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. 12-minute power nap.
Yeah, 15-minute power nap. That's pretty much all you need. You can take take a longer nap. You don't really come out of it refreshed, but a little quick nap. You're saying that's what we should do? Yeah. A little quick nap. Okay. I won't tell you why I was interviewing this person. But I interviewed this person who said that, and he was being interviewed for a job, a high-level job. And he said, this is no joke, I take a nap every day, after lunch. I told him after. And he said, what I do is I lay on the floor and I put my feet against my door. Partly because if somebody comes in, they might think I'm just stretching. Put his feet up, his back is flat to the floor, and take
Good idea.
You don't see that it's an interview? I was going to say, did he get the job, sir?
No, that was really kind of different than he said. Well, I can do that. But, who's to say? I think he's probably on to something, right? If it makes him more productive the rest of the day, I mean, it would be
What they were saying, You'd have our lunch break, take you 20 minutes, not very much.
Anybody else have any questions?
The exercise break?
Yeah. We'd be happy to know I just gave you back 20 minutes.
Go take a nap.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Which one of you ladies forgot to mute your phone?
Was it me?
I don't know, but it sounds like somebody's heart's beating. We've heard everything.
Oh, that's probably my computer breathing.
Holy smokes! It sounded like your head hit.
Doesn't it?
Sounded
Can
like
you
your
hear
head
that?
hit the table.
Because I did have it off.
I don't know. It sounds like somebody was really, nervous and their heart was beating out of their chest.
Oh no, it doesn't do a heartbeat, but it sounds like it's breathing, like it's sleeping. It does it all the time.
Sure, blame it on the computer, guys.
It is. It is a computer.
It's actually right in front of me. Now I've heard every excuse. It was my computer that was sleeping.
No, I'm not kidding. It's the truth.
It was nice seeing you, ladies. Good seeing you.
See you guys.